business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit. It's about purpose and what impact you're going to make. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day. Today's guest is going to light you up. You'll be motivated, you'll be challenged, and most importantly, you'll walk away with the tools that inspire action both in your life and your professional life, and helping others with that impact. But before we dive in, here's your homework. How are you going to serve yourself and others today, and what impact will you create? Even a small act of kindness, of courage, can change the game for anybody. So lean in, take notes, and let's discover how servant leadership in business and life can create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. And I want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon, a community where big thinkers come to grow, challenge norms, and create real impact. If you're ready to lead with purpose and connect with others, doing the same, this is where you belong. Find the link in the show notes and step into the conversation. And a quick shout out to Epic Impact, the 4-step storytelling framework that's transformed how I pitch, post, and podcast. If you're a coach, founder, or creative trying to connect with your audience, move them to action. This is your secret weapon. Engage, persuade, inspire, and close. I use it every day, and I know it works. AI alone can't tell your story, but paired with the proven Epic framework, it can move mountains. Get your free Epic Impact Starter Kit at epicimpact.com and start engaging hearts, persuading minds, and inspiring action with every message. And I want to thank all the audience and my guest, even today. We just remain the top 20 podcasts in the world in small business marketing. You guys are wonderful. Love you guys. And thank again. I just want to do that shout out because I really appreciate all of you. With that being said, my guest, HR is dull and it's boring. My guest changes that, but sees deep down how it could really benefit you in your business. And some of the stuff he's going to talk about may benefit your life as well. Let's welcome to the show, TJ. Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thanks, Steve. How are you?
I'm incredible. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
So 25 years of HR experience. That's a long time. I believe experience takes over anything else. Now, it could be the wrong experience, but experience is always a help when you hire a fractional like you. What inspired you to do 25 years of HR?
So nobody, I think, really goes and says, I want to make sure that everybody does their I-9s correctly. That just isn't a thing. That's not really what people go to school for. I kind of fell into HR on the talent side of things. And I found very quickly that I really liked helping people. I've always had this mentality of being working in servant leadership. So that's how I leveraged my career and how I built my career and ultimately grew into HR. Now, when I say HR, I don't think of like Toby from The Office. That's not HR. Which there are people out there that are like that, but I try to have a little bit different spin on it. I've always focused more on the people side of things because I think that's where the biggest impact can be made. For me, it really is like, how can you help somebody else? If you're talking about talent, sometimes it's making that phone call saying, hey, you got the job. If you're talking about employee reviews, hey, guess what? You've exceeded your performance expectations, and we'd like to talk to you about a possible promotion. When you can change somebody's life like that and you see those impacts, that's really what gets me jazzed up and to get out of bed in the morning. Maybe I'm a little different, but I'm okay with it.
Different's good. I love that about you. Very interesting too, because HR is one of those departments that you get the call from. I have friends and family tell me, I got a call from the HR. I don't know what's going on. They're walking in freaking out. How do you use the human element approach in HR to make it so that they can calm down when they come in and make it a people situation?
Well, the one thing I will say is, number one, I know that situation. So if I'm contacting somebody and there might be an issue, but it doesn't impact their job, I'd be like, hey, I need to talk to you. Just so you know, you're not getting terminated. You're not getting fired. I need to talk to you about a situation. We have to have some dialogue. Okay. There's some areas that we need to improve upon, some areas we need to discuss. So this way I diffuse the situation right off the bat. Look, being in HR for, since the early 2000, what I can say is we aren't the ones that get invited to happy hour. I'm totally cool with that. So, for me, I'm okay. Plus, it's plausible deniability, right? Uh, but ultimately, what it does come down to is, they're teaching moments. And I was lucky and blessed enough to meet my wife in college and married my college sweetheart, and we had kids right away. So not only did I learn a lot early on, but I kind of leveraged that learning experience through raising kids, through my career.
Yeah, and it's what I love what you're saying, and audience, you got to understand this. He frames the meeting before he meets. That happens with the president, with the sales. I mean, across the board, HR, it's really important because they're walking in going, oh my God, what's happening? But I love that because it does cross every department. Frame it. Hey, TJ, I need to meet with you. My sales quote. No, no, no. I got some tips for you. You frame it like that, they walk in. Oh, I love that. Love that. Here's the flip side of HR. It's the most important department in the one of them, sales, marketing, HR. They're all three, I think, pillars are so important. You started 45 Solutions. What was the goal to make HR better?
So for me, I when I started 45 Solutions, I had grown on restless in my position. I was a chief people officer. I felt like I didn't know if that's really where I wanted to continue my career. And there were some acquaintances, some neighbors, because I had developed a reputation as being like an HR guy. These people had smaller businesses, and they would give me a call after hours. Hey, I got an employee situation, company of five. What do I do? I got two employees that are arguing. How do I handle that? And I would tell them how to handle it. Go on, and no harm, no foul. Until one day it kind of clicked. I'm like, why am I giving away all this information when I can help so many other businesses? So I started 45 Solutions to really focus on the smaller ish businesses, the ones that are under the 250 employee range, the ones where I can really make an impact, because that is really what matters most to me. It's all about making that impact. I can make the business owner's life a lot better. I can make the people that work for them better. If they need help on the talent side, I can help them. If they need me to make that phone call, make an offer, I do everything from employee retention, talent acquisition, to all the boring custom policies, procedures, forms, everything and anything HR, except for a few gray areas like payroll. I'm just not great with. For me, I can do the strategy side, but I'm not going to do the delivery and implementation of, as well as benefits.
Yeah, it's interesting with HR too. Is it's got to be a tight machine. The systems have to be locked in, and that's what you help with as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the other thing too. There's not one particular software system where I'll say you have to have this.
Yeah.
That's every company's different. When I talk to people, when I talk to other business owners, they're like, "Oh, well, what industry do you work with?" Well, I'm in the people business, so I work across all industries. It doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, if I'm dealing with a business owner and he's got a problem with an employee, it's not the same as another business in the same industry, and he may have another problem. It's going to be a completely different set of values, completely different set of situations.
Yeah. And the thing about what you do, and it's called fractional audience, which means he's part time. He's not a full time employee. With small businesses that are that small, they can't afford to pay Steve or Mo, the HR, $250,000 a year. Let's say whatever that is. You come in as a part timer, and that's not taken in a bad way, but you come in and advise. So they're saving money, but they're still growing.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say that may really help understand, when fractional kind of came about, I'd say about 20 years ago, the CFOs grabbed onto it really quickly because they saw, hey, I can retire and then I can work part-time here, part-time there. And the CFOs really had a control on that market. There's not a lot of fractional HR people out there, especially that do what I do, that just focus on the people side more than anything, and then advise on the strategy for the rest of HR. Uh, But the way I like to kind of equate it is, you know, there's this big hat of HR that a business owner has to wear. And most business owners aren't good with it. So, similar to finance, what do? They take the hat off and they give it to somebody else. I work with some home service businesses, you know, a master plumber, a master electrician. Those guys know their trade. These are computer hands. These are not hands that can, you know, go out and do carpentry or go stain a deck. So I will call experts for that. That's the same concept here.
Yeah, and that's what I like because it's got to get done. And the
Yeah.
hat thing is brilliant. What you just said. If you're listening out there, you're a founder, CEO, president. Take hats off, man. You'll grow so fast. And guess what? You get to spend time with your family. And that's what you do too. So you help those people have a little more free time, which they should have. 80-hour work week is not a badge of honor anymore. It's just not.
Not at all.
Tell us a story, because HR can be very negative. Negative is the wrong word, but can be very challenging. It's probably a better word, of something that was challenging working with an HR department or a company. You came in and swooped in as the hero Superman and made a change and helped them.
So, okay, sure. I've got a story, and I can remember HR. There's a lot in the vault that I can't disclose. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I've got to make sure this is scrubbed. But one story that particularly comes to mind is there was an organization that I was working with, um, and they had some challenges on the talent side. Ever since COVID, they just couldn't retain talent and they couldn't find new talent. Culture was deteriorating. There was a lot of infighting. And I'm talking a company of over 100 plus employees, multiple offices. So, what I did was I worked directly with the CEO as well as the HR manager and the director of operations to put a plan in place and develop an overall talent acquisition strategy first to try and help backfill some of the seats that were empty. And then once we got that done, what I also saw was there was a huge gap between the leadership and management and then the employees. There was no growth pattern. So what we did was we sat down, we mapped out a plan for growth for maybe some of the employees. They were the right people, they were just in the wrong seat. And they didn't have those seats currently made. So we kind of filled in the gap, so to speak, and we gave people a path to grow their careers. And what happened was a lot of the other peripheral employees saw that. And then you saw productivity and efficiency actually increase because of that. Because now people were like, wait a minute, I've been here for over 9 years. I should be up for promotion next. And we changed the whole mindset of you get a raise. I mean, look, COLA or cost of living increase right now, or at least in 2024, was 3.2%. Might still be the same if memory serves me correct. So average increases are anywhere from 2 to 4%. What we advised was we told the entire company we're getting away from the standard of living increase. We're not doing it anymore. If you want an increase, you've got to earn it. And and what happened is we managed out some of the bottom, but we also leveraged that with the talent acquisition strategy and the new talent that we were filling the other holes in on the rest of the team. And we found that the teams were more cohesive, they worked better together, and now the company's humming on all cylinders, even more so.
Great story. And you picked the right one for me, because personnel decisions are vital in a business, because we're in the people business. Your customers, your prospects, your employees, your board, all that. And that's so rewarding that you do, and HR needs to do more of that aren't doing, is to make it a people business like you started the show with. You talked about one word that's magical with HR. I don't think a lot of people talk about is culture. How do you build a great culture? Because it has to be in a business for it to grow. How do you help that?
Yeah, well, for the viewers out there, the one thing I want to say, culture does not mean on Friday you get a stack of pizzas and you throw them in the break room. Please do not think that that is culture. Okay. Culture is listening to your employees, doing randomized anonymous surveys, asking for the negative feedback and making positive changes. Okay. Culture is having your organization grow to the point that now your employees are going out and talking to their family and friends and neighbors and acquaintances and saying, they come back and they say, hey, Mr. Manager, I know somebody, I know we're not hiring, but I know somebody that could be a great fit within the company. That person could be, your next mid-level manager. And you make sure that you do an interview and you incentivize employees for referring people in. Okay. So yeah, there's some incentives there, but it goes way beyond the lunches or, the other stuff. Because look, at the end of the day, the people are there for one reason and one reason only. They want a paycheck. They want to grow their career. They want to feel rewarded. But while they're there, they want to make sure that they're doing quality work and that they're appreciated. When employees know that they're appreciated and that they can actually grow their careers by, maybe pushing on the gas pedal from, 95 to 105 to 110, giving that extra 1% even can pay dividends, and it'll pay dividends for the people around them that they work with.
I loved what you talked about incentives for bringing employees in. Trader Joe, my wife works at Trader Joe's. She's a mate manager, they call it. They do the same thing. She's always talking. You're looking for a job? Have you thought about Trader Joe's? So now what traders do have, or the companies you work with, have all these recruiters. It's their company because she loves the company. She wants great people there. Audience, if you run with that piece of advice from this podcast, you'll make millions. I guarantee that. You can come back and email me if I'm wrong, but it's true. Now, the other side of it that I hear with HR is HR and the boss and the communication. How do you help with that?
Explain a little bit more.
So, they have to have good communication. I mean, the boss can't say, hey, just fire Steve Ramona. And, there's got to be the honesty, integrity as part of that communication and being open and transparent. How do you come in and make sure those two relations are working together, or the sales director and the CEO are working together in an HR perspective?
Well, you also have to look at it from a compliance perspective too. I mean, yes. We're in 2025. So I've never been one to say, you walk into an organization and somebody didn't, like, let's just take sales, for example. Somebody didn't make quota. X, go. You can hire fast, fire faster, that type of mentality. But all that does is breed negativity and desperation and, uncertainty about your job. What happens is, going back to your last question, when you talked about culture starts from the top down, from the CEO down. If your CEO does not believe in what your HR is selling, what your talent acquisition team is out there selling, because theoretically they kind of are sales, because they're advertising the company. They're like, hey, come work here. This is what we do. This is what we offer. But if you don't follow that same mentality from the CEO and then through the VPs, the directors, the managers, all the way down, to the maintenance worker, then you're going to have an issue. And what also happens is when it comes time to, if you have to have those difficult conversations, you do have to be transparent, because at the end of the day, nobody benefits from sugarcoating what the obvious glaring issues are. Sometimes it's performance. Sometimes it's lateness. You could have somebody that is the best employee at what they do in terms of a skill set. But if that person, let's say, comes in late every single day, if the hours are Monday through Friday to 9 to 5, and this person rolls in at 9:35 a.m. every day, what do you think is going to happen to all the other employees? They're going to watch that and they're going to say, why does that individual get to do that? Just because they did A, B, or C? And you're going to breed a lot of resentment and negativity. I'm not saying you need to be strict when it comes down to hours. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is your messaging. If your company has company values. Now, if you don't care about hours, that last example, right out the window. But if you're in a customer client facing in-person position where you need to greet people from the hours of 9 to 5, let's say you're in, private medical, you're a dentist office. So the dentist works 8 to 4. Okay. Your receptionist will show up till 8:30. What do the people that walk in do? Do they just walk in the back and be like, hey, Dr. So-and-so, are you ready to clean my teeth? So
I love it. And it's all about communication. It's the right communication. And that's what you teach and educate, as when you walk away and exit, that's a big part of what you're doing. Here's the elephant in the room for me, TJ, and maybe for the audience too, is AI. Oh,
Mhm.
AI is taking humans away and jobs away. What's your thoughts on AI and the HR side of it?
So I had worked in the digital marketing space for a couple of years. And I've used this analogy multiple times, and I think the audience will understand it. When Photoshop came into play, everybody at this point knows the software Photoshop. When Photoshop came into play, graphic designers in the 90s were like, there goes our jobs. You can't find a graphic designer today that does not know the entire, not only Photoshop, but the entire Adobe suite. Okay. So AI is a tool and a tool only. Is it, could it become eventually kind of like Terminator? I don't know. I'm not that deep on the machine learning side of things. Can it replace jobs? It could. However, I think that AI is a tool only, and should be treated as such. You know, it's nice to get a second perspective. It's almost like when you're out with friends and hey, I messed up with my wife. I said something really stupid. What should I say? You don't say verbatim exactly what your buddy said, because 9 times out of 10, you may call your wife by the wrong name and you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But what you do say is you use the framework of it and you make it your own. So it shouldn't replace your brain. It should only enhance your brain.
I'm going to share that story. I'm going to borrow that story. I was going to say steal, but I'm not going to steal. That's a great story about AI, about your wife. And you talk to your friends or about anything in life, and that's all you're doing. You're talking to a friend, giving you a framework.
Yeah.
This is so good. You're awesome, man.
Thanks.
I knew you before, but I'm really understanding more about what you do. Last question about HR. What's the future look like in the next 2 to 3 years in HR? Because I know it's always changing.
The number one volatility that is in HR right now, and you're going to hear this time and time again. I'm sure there are people that may watch this. They're going to be like, and maybe they're looking for a new position. I've applied to so many positions and nobody's getting back to me. There's a lot of volatility in the market right now, number one. Number two, there's a lot of it's called resume harvesting. And that's what's going on right now. A lot of companies are putting out positions, and I may get looked at kind of with the side eye for putting this out there, but I've got no problems with it, because you know what? It's true. A lot of companies are doing what's called resume harvesting. They're putting positions out that don't exist yet, or they're not exactly hiring for them, so that this way, when companies are ready to hire, when the financial markets settle down and things, and they can start to grow and improve, they have a full list of resumes that they can just shoot an email out to. Hey, are you still interested and available in this position? AI can help with that. They can help draft an email that a junior recruiter could write up. Hopefully they make it their own. But in other areas where you're also seeing is sorry, I got to pause there.
Okay. Yeah.
There's other areas that you're seeing, you're going to see over the next few years. I think that we're going to see a little bit more of a shift where it used to be everything in office. Everything has become way more hybrid. So people have to work not only in office, but you know, working over video camera has become a lot more commonplace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being able to be an early adopter of technology, especially within HR, and there are so many platforms that are out, might start to see some consolidation of those, so that this way, because everybody's got a different tool or a different niche, I'm hoping at least that maybe some of them can kind of come together and make some better tools so we can pick from 5 as opposed to 50.
Yeah, I love having guests like you because you teach me. I never heard about harvesting, and it's interesting. Makes sense because people are freaking out about people and jobs and stuff. I talk to companies all the time. Like, I don't know, I'm going to staff this. So I love that. Let's end with a fun question. I want to get to know you a little deeper. So
Sure.
I've got a table at a restaurant reserved for you. It's 4 chairs. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. In the 3 empty chairs, who you're going to invite, whether they're dead or alive, and what food are you ordering for the table?
All right. So the food, I am going with, I'm going to do the food first just because I tend to be a
Yeah.
bit of a foodie. I'm going to go with an assortment, almost like a charcuterie board of smoked meats and chicken, because there might be some people there that don't eat red meat, but I'm a big fan of the smoked meats. In terms of who I'm sitting with, uh, one, my favorite musical artist ever is Jimmy Buffett, and he recently passed. So he's a great, not only was he a great songwriter and he's got tons of hotels and everything like that, he built a huge brand, but he's an unbelievable author. If you ever get a chance to check out some of his books, they're phenomenal. So just being able to listen to his stories, I think would be great. Second, my kids, the whole branding behind 45 Solutions is blue and white because my kids go to Penn State. And I grew up a Penn State fan. So I would say Joe Paterno, because that guy always said the name that's on the front of the jersey means way more than the name on the back. And he was all about education over athletics. So I would love to hear some of his stories. For the third, I want to go with somebody who's alive. And I want to pick somebody out of the norm a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go with my wife just because I'd want her to experience it with me.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes we have to invite our wife and not forget them. That's great.
And just in case she watches this, then I don't lose points.
Yeah, that's great. CYA.
Exactly.
CYA? By the way, I'm a parrot head, big time for 40 years. You rocked my world when you said Jimmy Buffett. My wife pulls it up all of my birthday. It was Monday, and she pulled up Jimmy Buffett when we were going to a Giants game. So kudos. I love it. I want to see. I'm going to pay for that table chair. I'm going to bring a chair, pay you to get that chair in there. TJ, HR is tough. And it's so vital for business. And you're the solution, the 45 solution. Thank you for being such a wonderful guest, really inspiring and educating us on how you can do it right and really grow your company. I know people listening going, how do I reach out to TJ? So how can they find you?
Sure. So my website is 45solutions.net. You can reach me there, or my name, which is TJ Butler at 45solutions.net. Reach out. My contact info is all over my website. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. It's not hard to find me. And the best part is I'm very responsive. I run a zero inbox. I treat my inbox almost like, for those older viewers, I treat it like instant messenger. So you're going to get a response and you're going to get a prompt response.
So not only does he make HR simple, he makes connecting with them simple. That's a true servant's heart. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending the time. Audience, here's your homework at the end. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, but not for what you think. So you're listening to this show and you go, God, my buddy's got HR problems, or he needs to learn more about HR, or she has to do this. Take the link that TJ just did and recorded and share it with them. Here's the quick journey. They listen, they reach out to TJ, he helps them, or they hire him. It doesn't matter. But you can make an impact with a podcast link. I think any podcast, whether it's this one or any other, if you treat it as a gift and share it as a gift, you're going to make, as I started the show with, an impact and change with people. Let's do it. Why not? The world needs more of that. With that being said, me and TJ want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.